What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. It is time now for the Thursday weather update for Thursday, December 5th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This is where I do the daily weather update for all things weather in the United States. Winter weather, severe weather, tropical weather, rain, drought, and everything else in between, which today will include talking about an earthquake that happened out off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like the content, and the more people that do that, the more it helps me grow in the algorithm. Share this video with anyone you know, hit that notification bell, and leave any comments and questions down below. Alright, starting off on the west coast today. Yes, there was an earthquake that hit off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean. Now, this can happen out there from time to time. However, today was a little bit of a different story. It was a 7.0 magnitude earthquake. Yes, that is a pretty strong one. And given the fact it happened in the ocean, it did trigger tsunami warnings for portions of Northern California and the Oregon coast. The good news is as follows. There was no wave, so they canceled the warning, but there was some minor damage that occurred from the earthquake, and about some 19,000 people or customers lost power in Northern California. That's the latest on the earthquake that happened out there, and once again, good news is no wave, but it did trigger some evacuations. Some people moved to higher ground, including the San Francisco area. Now, taking a look at the power outage map, you see two things. Power outages in California, but also in Pennsylvania. And let me explain about that in just a moment. In California, currently total 20,727 power outages. In Pennsylvania, 18,798, and there's a good reason for that. It is very windy across the Great Lakes and the Northeast today from that Clipper system, which is now transferring into a low off the coast of Maine, and it is really windy. The winds have been whipping. You may even hear the winds in the background behind me because it is just so windy today. And take a look at some of these numbers from the Weather Prediction Center, and these are just some random numbers that they selected, and I'm not going to read them all. I'll just read a few. Gary Airport in Illinois, 62 mile per hour wind gusts. Indianapolis, 64 mile per hour wind gusts. Maryland, Camp David, 68 mile per hour winds. Michigan, South Haven Regional Airport, 74 mile per hour winds. Even in North Carolina, a gust at 76 miles per hour. In Ohio, Columbus, at Ohio State University Airport, 60 mile per hour winds. Same goes for Dayton as well. Erie International Airport in Pennsylvania, 56 mile per hour wind gusts. So yeah, it was really windy today. Plus, there was also a snow aspect of this storm as well. Wyoming, New York, 9.5 inches of snow. Stratfordville, Connecticut, 7.4 inches of snow. And on it goes. Du Bois, Pennsylvania, 4.5 inches of snow. In that area last night, and just to the east, in the State College area, where people were leaving work last night, an area of heavy snow developed, and it caused a ton of accidents. And then later on, just to the northeast of there, Interstate 80, I-80 got shut down for a time. As you know, it is a major commercial trucking route, major freight route. So anytime there's snow squalls or snow, things can get very treacherous along that route. And, well, it did last night. There was quite the accident that caused Interstate 80 to be shut down. And we can see here from the Weather Prediction Center, the gusty winds and isolated snow squalls will persist through tonight across portions of the Northeast, while lake effect snow will persist into Saturday. The combination of heavy snow rates and strong winds will create hazardous travel in some areas. And up in Erie, Pennsylvania, give me a few moments. I have something for you that I don't think I've ever talked about on the channel, a special type of warning that if you're a snow lover, it's your dream come true if you get that warning. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's a blizzard warning. Yes, Erie, Pennsylvania does have a blizzard warning when I last checked from the National Weather Service. The National Hazards Map in just a moment. Here's that system up in the northeast. You can see it's transferring its energy from the Great Lakes. A new low is taking over somewhere in Maine, and we do note there is clouds in the southeast today. A very nice day out on the west West Coast. I mean, it's a shame you had to deal with that earthquake because otherwise it is a nice day out there. Taking a look at the winds, you can see those winds are whipping off the Great Lakes. Look at the winds going across Pennsylvania, New York State. Yeah, that cold air is coming in, and with that, I mean, it's where I'm at right now. It is 35 degrees. The wind chill is in the 30s. It's here in Philadelphia. It's going to drop into the low 20s tonight. Away from I-95, up in the mountains of Pennsylvania and New York State, wind chills will go into the teens and maybe even isolated single digits tonight. If you're in Michigan right now, you're feeling it. Your wind chills are already in the teens. This is a really cold air mass, but there is good news down the line. This will eventually move out if you don't like the cold weather. Taking a look at radar, we can see in the northeast there are still lake effect snow showers. That's going to continue tonight, tomorrow, and probably in through a good portion of Saturday. We can see in upstate New York there is a pretty heavy band that is heading towards the Adirondack Northway at this time, just north of Albany, just to the northwest. It's north of Syracuse. That band is probably pushing 1 to 2 inch per hour rates. That is a really impressive snow band at this time. There's also an impressive snow band just to the southwest of Kalamazoo, Michigan at this time. Take a look at this one. Yes. So if you're traveling near any of these bands that I'm talking about, yeah, you really do want to be careful. And if you're in Canada, take a look at this. London, yeah, that is really an impressive band for you as well. Down in the south, not much to talk about, just a few spotty showers along the Florida, Alabama, Mississippi coast. There will be more wet weather headed your way, more probably significant wet weather as we head later into the weekend. I'll explain about that in just a little bit. Taking a look at that national hazard map now, and I will refresh this to make sure it's up to date. Yep, take a look at this. We have blizzard warnings still across portions of West Virginia, but check this out. Yes, in Erie County, Pennsylvania, a blizzard warning is now up for you. And with that, they are saying, what? Blizzard conditions, additional snow accumulations between 8 and 14 inches of snow, winds gusting as high as 45 miles per hour. This is in place until 1 a.m. on Saturday, and visibilities will drop below 1/4 a mile due to falling and blowing snow. Significant drifting of snow is likely, and if we go back to radar real quickly, we can see there's no significant band over Erie yet. But again, remember this band that's back across portions of Canada, London? Yeah, watch that as it goes across the lake because, mind you, sometimes you get these bands that will set up from one lake and then stretch to the next one and then gain energy. Sometimes they're like feeder bands and they just like keep going, or like a streamer. That's the word I'm looking for. And if that goes across Erie, Lake Erie into Pennsylvania, it could pick up more energy, and that could be the one that really dumps the snow in Erie tonight. All right, moving on back to the hazards map. Enough about Erie, Pennsylvania for the moment. We can see here there are high wind watches that are up for portions of Montana, where windy conditions are expected for you. Gusts up to 60 miles per hour are possible in that area. Yet again, it's going to be a cold night. Down in the southeast, we have freeze watches and freeze warnings, and we also have cold weather advisories that are up down there as well. A lot of places are not used to it being this cold, especially not this early. I mean, if it ever happens there, usually it's in January or February, but here we are. Yes, it is happening. All right, taking a look at the Storm Prediction Center, we have nothing to talk about in terms of severe weather across the country, but I do note this. On Friday, there is the elevated risk of wildfires just to the north of Los Angeles, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Again, no severe weather currently. Down the line, we may see some severe weather come into play, a marginal risk or two in the southeast from a boundary next week. Taking a look at the Weather Prediction Center, and I wanted to show you this. This is the surface front map, and as I advance this, you can see here, there's the lake effect snows across portions of the Great Lakes in the northeast as we head into Friday. But watch what happens here Saturday. You can see moisture starts to build in Texas, and then again on Sunday as well, and that will eventually come northeast. That will be in the form of a warm front that is actually going to warm things up in the east. Yes, early next week, maybe next Tuesday, places from Philadelphia on southward, temperatures in the 60s are possible. Yes, a nice warm up and a break from this brutally cold weather that we have been seeing. And we can see by the time we get into Monday, yes, some rain will come with that, and this boundary, this front that's behind it, will be slow to move through. There could be some waves of energy to develop along it, and maybe on the northwest fringes of that, there could be a little bit of snow in New York State, or maybe even in Vermont. And you can see that here. It's not really the best winter setup ever. I mean, you would need a lot to happen in order for it to become a snowstorm. Not likely to happen, but hey, beneficial range for along I-95. Take it because you need it. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the precipitation totals for the next 1 through 7 days, and we can see in the southeast it is going to be rather wet, and it's also going to be wet along that I-95 corridor as well over the next 7 days. 2 to 4 inches of rainfall possible in some areas in the south, and along I-95 corridor, generally 1 to 2 inches of rainfall is expected, or precipitation is expected over the next 7 days in Washington and Oregon. Some heavier precipitation is likely for you during this forecasting period as well, and you can see here there are some isolated 4 to 5 inch amounts showing up in Washington at this time. And again, up there, you don't really need the rainfall, but in the east, we do. Here is the latest drought update, which just came in, and you can see drought conditions do continue across much of the east. So, yeah, drought, rain, yes, rain will help the drought, and you might find this to be very strange, but it's true. Take a look at North Carolina, western North Carolina. Yes, there are drought conditions where Helene caused all that flooding. Why? Well, since then, you have not seen all that much rain. Therefore, drought conditions do exist for you. Western Texas, you're still in drought conditions as well. I don't see much in the way of improvement coming to your area, or much for the northern plains as well. I think your drought situation is going to continue. I mean, we're still looking at a lot of the United States that is dealing with drought at this time. All right, let's take a look at the latest NAM run that just came in. Here's the winds in the northeast. Unfortunately, those winds and the cold, yeah, it's going to be a windy day again tomorrow. Maybe not as windy as today. I mean, we won't see gusts over 60 tomorrow, but gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour, that could still be a thing during the day tomorrow. Lake effect snows, you can see here. The NAM does set up a pretty decent snow band that just sits over Lake Erie through much of the day tomorrow. Then it finally weakens a little bit, but it may start up again tomorrow night and start moving eastward. Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on that. We also have to keep our eyes on this. There's yet another Clipper system. This one's going to track more north and hit northern New England. There could be a few inches of snow with that, but we need to reverse this, because we also got to talk about the northwest. And we can see up in the northwest, yes, rainfall for you on Saturday into Sunday and mountain snows. There could even be a mix across portions of eastern Washington and northern Idaho. And that system will eventually make it into the northern plains. Could be a mixy situation. A little bit of a mess for you. As we get closer to the end of the NAM, here's that warm front that develops in the southeast along that boundary, and ahead of that the warmer push will move to the northeast, and look what happens. Moisture does gather along this, so there will be a plume of moisture that moves into the Tennessee Valley and the Ohio Valley as we head towards Sunday night going into Monday. Taking a look at the GFS, and we're going to take a look up until about the end of next week. After that, no sense in looking because, yeah, it keeps changing quite a bit. But first off, you can see that warm push. See the southwest flow? It pushes into the east. Here's that storm system that brings the wet weekend for places in the northwest. And yeah, some of this now may linger into Sunday. It was looking like maybe it was trending to move out a little bit faster, but here we are, 18Z on Sunday, which would be Sunday afternoon. And yes, you're still seeing some rainfall across Seattle and mountain snows as well. Here comes that moisture on the GFS. That's the first initial system that moves through. Could be a little bit of a wintry mix with this warm front up into Vermont, where some cold air will be damming. In other words, meaning CAD. What that means is some cold air will be lingering behind. You see up here in Canada there is an area of high pressure. That may help keep the cold air in a little bit longer and make it harder for the cold air to exit. But eventually it will exit, the warm air will win out, and yes, even you will change to rain. Behind that, this boundary sets up, and we have to watch this boundary because this is what could provide the rain chances for the east next week. And you also see here, behind here, places like Michigan, up into Canada, there is a snow aspect, but it's not significant. This is not a major snow threat by any means. And as we head into Wednesday of next week, that's where the heavier round of rainfall does occur. And we also have to watch Florida. There could be a marginal risk of severe weather with this boundary. There is ever so slight amount of instability that is showing up. You can see it here on the GFS. Cape values are not all that impressive, but given that this is a pretty significant front, and you can see there's a pretty strong cold push behind us, there could be a little bit of severe weather. So maybe an isolated warning or two could not be ruled out as we head into Wednesday evening. And you see here this boundary does slowly push east. Moisture streams up along it. For the most part, it is in the form of rain. If you are northwest of, say, the I-84 corridor, maybe, and you have to go even north, I would say even north of the Massachusetts Turnpike, it could change over to snow. Are you going to see a lot of snow with it? No. And unfortunately, for the ski resorts that just opened, if we reverse this back a little bit, yeah, you do start as rain, so that's not good news for you. And you could see upwards of an inch of rain in those ski resort locations, with, of course, the heaviest rainfall being along I-95, with totals from between the warm front and this boundary being about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall. By the time we get into next Thursday, look what happens behind here. Another storm system does move into the Pacific Northwest, and that one is a bit stronger. It even moves into Northern California. It even has heavy mountain snows, so that is something we'll have to keep an eye on. And behind that front that moves into the east, it gets cold real quickly, and then look at this. Already it warms up again. Temperatures are really going to be a roller coaster going forward, and I will show you that on the GEFS. First off, here's that cold air that just moved in today in the northeast. We can see that by the time we get into late Saturday, that is already showing signs of pushing out. Sunday is slightly warmer. And then here comes that boundary next Tuesday. And look behind it. Here comes another push of colder air. Not as significant as the one we are seeing right now. And that push of colder air, it only lasts a day or two before late next week and then the following weekend, we do start to see this zonal flow that I've been talking about. That sets up from the west. Some Pacific air comes across, and that really does create a warming trend. So really, overall, we are in a temperature roller coaster for the next week, maybe even 2 weeks, because things are going to go up and down, and then eventually they may stay up for a little while, and the mid portion of this month may actually really warm up. Take a look here on the GFS as we head to about December 15th. This is actually the GEFS, the ensemble of the GFS, and you can see it really warms up with no real signs of a cold stretch until you get to about the end of this run, where you see maybe a trough, but even at that, it's not all that impressive. Taking a look now at the Climate Prediction Center, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. Generally above average on the west coast, slightly below average in the southeast, and slightly above average along the immediate east coast. You can see here's those precipitation chances. Behind that boundary, there's not going to be a lot of rainfall, so below average from the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley, down to the Gulf Coast, slightly above average in Texas, below average precipitation in the Four Corners region, including western Texas. Yeah, your drought situation is not getting any better. Also take note on this map that Hawaii and Alaska well above average precipitation for you. Alright, real quickly, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. You just saw it on the GEFS, and, well, the Climate Prediction Center agrees. It is going to be above average for much of the country, and should this pattern stay put in the middle portion of the month, it would hurt the chances of a white Christmas coming towards the end of the month. We'll have to see. If you want a white Christmas, for many locations, I would say it's not looking good unless you're really far north. And if you're somewhere that had all this lake effect snow, I'm sure some of that snow will still be around at that point. Taking a look at the 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook, I think the pattern will continue to become favorable for more storm systems in the northwest, that's one area that could see a white Christmas. The mountains of the Pacific Northwest, where you could see several snowfall events. And take a look along the east coast. Yes, we're back to that dry pattern once again. This looks oh so similar to that pattern we were dealing with in October. But we do have to get through that rain system first. That is going to occur next week. Alrighty, that does it for the Thursday weather update. I will have another update again tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new, subscribe down below. Hit that notification bell to be notified of my latest videos. Share this with anyone you know through social media or word of mouth. And of course, leave any comments and questions down below. Let me know how I'm doing. Alrighty, folks, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic Thursday evening.